Mrs. Green Apple, the song is called Blizzard. It is track 4 off of the Antenna album, and we are doing our track by track listen through 2 older songs on this album. Now, this is going to be a really interesting one for a few reasons. First of all, is because of the fact that I feel like this album has already started with a really strong kind of launch. I said before that I was a little bit nervous going into doing this listen to Antenna because I'd really enjoyed the Attitude album and everything I'd heard of them as a 5-piece, and so I was aware of the more recent songs from Mrs. Green Apple, as in sort of things like Lulu and a couple of singles they'd had out and about in Japan. You kind of hear them out and about while you're in Japan. But I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about diving into a full album. And I must admit, the first 3 songs, although I've had my individual comments about all 3 of them, have really given me a feeling of an album that started high energy and very creative. Now, I know after this is the song Que Sera Sera, which is a song I should probably go back and listen to, but I won't do a reaction to that again because I've only done reactions to that like a couple of months ago, I think. And I remember I really enjoyed that song. So we've got a situation where Blizzard is a song that is after a really good start, before another song that I know I really enjoy. And furthermore, I've had a lot of you guys in the comments underneath my track by track Mrs. Green Apple reactions. Well, I've had more than, I think it's about 3 people, one in particular, have been really saying how excited they were for me to check out this song. Now, I am always honest on this channel, and I'm just going to say this before I get into this one. I'll give my honest thoughts. But you know what? I don't do this deliberately, but a lot of the time when people are really excited for me to check out a song, a lot of the time other people's favourites are usually my least favourites. I usually like the same bands as probably a lot of my followers, but then I always end up liking very different songs. I don't know why it works out that way, but that's kind of why I'm a bit nervous. I'll be honest, I'm a bit nervous, but I'm going to go into this kind of excited and happy, and as always, I'll give you my honest thoughts. This is an album that so far, as I say, it's off to a really strong start. I know the next song's going to be one that I really enjoy anyway, because I've already heard it. So, I mean, after this, we'll be jumping straight over to Sorangi will be the one we'll do after this. But, yeah, Blizzard, let's check it out. I'm pausing. I'm delaying too much. Let's jump in. Let's check out Blizzard from Antenna by Mrs. Green Apple. Fast syllable delivery straight away. Quite fast tempo as well. We're using that voice effect again. We had a little bit of this voice effect in Magic earlier. That's a lot of falsetto there. It's an interesting build-up. I'm looking forward to seeing where this is building to. It's kind of like interesting use of synthesizers. You get this really sort of dancey beat underneath. Very atmospheric kind of direction it's going in. We're only 2 minutes in, wow. The build-up is very strong again. There's a lot of interesting little synth sounds happening in the background. I get a feeling we're going to build up to the chorus again. But I feel like we're really building up to some kind of crescendo here. This is a build up and build up and build up all the time. Even the chord pattern is just up, 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 up. That is not what I expected at all. I don't know. I mean, I guess I had no real reason to expect anything. No one had actually told me specifically anything about the song. But I think when a lot of people were saying, I really want you to check out the song Blizzard, I guess in a way I was expecting something like, I guess I was expecting it to be one of those songs like About Me or Lovin', which was like a really emotional, kind of people will often get very invested in the very emotional songs. I don't really know. I mean, this might have a lot of depth to it in meaning wise that I maybe not getting, but I have to assess this purely based on the music, and musically this is not what I really expected. I mean, one of the best things about Mrs. Green Apple is their propensity to put variation in, and this is definitely I mean, again, it sounds like Mrs. Green Apple, but it's different in a lot of very key ways from a lot of the other songs, maybe even all the other songs that I've heard from them previously. Most notably, this is a song that is primarily, it's the same chord pattern going round and round. It's building up a lot of the time. The music itself seems to be mostly built from a sort of synthetic production standpoint, a lot of soundscaping to build up atmosphere and various things. The chorus, I mean, I know that he's okay singing in falsetto, but this chorus is very falsetto heavy. If you don't know, falsetto is when your voice goes above the normal highest pitch that you can sing, and then you start going up into the voice where you sing a bit like that, except for when a real singer does it, it sounds better than what I'm doing right now. So, it's a kind of up in that area. And, it's this feeling that, like, he's really singing in a different way. It's very sort of punchy, quick kind of style of syllable delivery in the lyrics as well. It is different in a lot of ways. I told you that I would always be honest on this channel, right? I've got to be honest. I don't think that this song is bad, but I don't think it's especially good either. My biggest issue here is that it's nice, and weirdly, it does. 4.5 minutes flies by, but I think the main reason why 4.5 minutes flies by is because you're waiting for something to happen. But that thing never happens. That nothing kind of ever comes. It feels like you're building up and you're building up, but the moment doesn't come. I mean, if we were to think with some album context and say that it's a build up to Que Sera Sera, then it does build up to something awesome that follows. But Que Sera Sera seems to work entirely fine on its own merit. I genuinely am a little bit surprised by this one, because I think my biggest... there's a lot going on in terms of layering. There's like interesting little kind of synths happening in there, interesting sort of things building up, but everything does feel very, dare I say it, all the layers that come in, they feel very basic. Nothing in there is especially creative. These are all kind of sounds that, these are all very simple, kind of like pop arpeggios. Even the bass is dum, dum, dum. There's no nuance to that. It's a song that it creates this interesting soundscape, and it creates this interesting mood of building up. But I gotta be honest, I didn't really get much beyond that. Do you know? I honestly, I was not. When I said at the beginning of this that it tends to be that people people like different songs from me. I genuinely was saying that as a little bit of a laugh. I honestly was not expecting this, but I was kind of expecting that maybe this would be a really interesting reaction just because of the number of people who've mentioned it to me. But now I'm wondering, as I say, you guys haven't told me anything about this song in advance. And also a lot of you, I don't remember anyone telling me why you guys specifically wanted to hear my reaction to this. So I'm wondering, is it because this is a song that everyone likes, or is it maybe because this is a song that everyone's split on? I do wonder if this is a song where people have very mixed opinions because... yeah, I mean, like even the falsetto chorus, it was okay, but it just it kind of it never quite had much impact because he is a very good singer in his higher range. He can sing these beautiful high notes. Here, it just kind of like it didn't feel like his voice was really being used. It was very much leaning into the falsetto, so we didn't really get much power. It was all in that upper range where it was kind of beyond where his voice is, you know, really functioning at its best. Again, falsetto is a very stylistic choice. I'm not saying that when you sing in falsetto it's because you can't sing. It's because you are choosing to sing in that range specifically for that sound. But it's something that you usually have like a mixture of falsetto and non-falsetto notes to kind of create an interesting variation maybe to the melody you're singing. But in this one it just kind of felt a little bit like his voice was, it wasn't the best I'd heard his voice being used because it was too much in falsetto. The arrangement didn't have the nuances that I usually like. It had a lot of build up that kind of led to nothing really in the end. Yeah, I gotta be honest, I wasn't wild about this, but as I have to point out as well, I didn't dislike it. I did not dislike this song. This wasn't a bad song. I wasn't listening to it going, oh, this is awful. I was just kind of listening to it going, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. And it just kind of got to the end. I was like, oh, okay. Nothing really happened. So yeah, I honestly think this is kind of interesting. And well, obviously, again, I have to maybe qualify that. When I say nothing happened, obviously I can understand that we all approach music from different standpoints. Some people could say it's all about the build-up. And of course, I very much enjoyed songs like Circle, which was effectively just vocals and piano, and you could argue nothing happened there. But that was a song where... you can hear through the chord arrangement that there's build up and payoff emotionally in the way that the chord pattern's structured. The chord pattern was just kind of repeating. So that didn't really build to anything either. It was, so yeah, I don't know. I didn't dislike this. Would I call it a skipper? If I heard this album repeatedly, this would probably be a song that I might start getting the feeling I needed to skip. But not because I disliked it, just because it doesn't really feel like it. Compared to the songs around it, certainly I wouldn't rate it that highly. But if I was just listening to the album, it would just be kind of like, it would feel a bit like a filler song, like a song that goes and then it finishes and then you move on to the next one. So I really don't know. I don't know if this is the reaction that you guys were hoping for, if you guys were thinking, oh, really interesting, everyone's got split opinions on this, I wonder what he thinks, or... I feel really bad if this is a song you guys all loved and I've just told you that I didn't really feel this one. But yeah, I really can't wait to see the comments on this one. Because this one, I'll be honest, of all the Mrs. Green Apple songs I've heard thus far, I've liked most of them. And I would say this is probably, I don't think I've heard a bad Mrs. Green Apple song. But this is definitely one of those ones where I would just sort of call it, meh. It's meh. It's meh territory. It's meh. It's all right. I wouldn't knowingly come back to it, but if it was on the album, I probably wouldn't feel the need to immediately skip it either. The song afterwards is Que Sera Sera, which is probably one of my favourite Mrs. Green Apple songs. What's going on, people? So the next one we'll be checking out on our track by track listen through will be Sorangi. I'm really sorry. I hope no one's super disappointed with this reaction. I told you I'd always be honest. I wish I hadn't said that thing in the intro now because it sounds like I was setting myself up, which I wasn't. But I don't edit these, so I can't go back and remove that. But anyway, let me know what you think. This was really interesting. Again, I didn't hate it. I just was like, eh. So. It didn't have... Okay, let's put it this way. I didn't hate it. It just didn't have any of the things that I would normally go to Mrs. Green Apple for. And it didn't replace them with anything else that I would go for either. It just kind of was... Yeah. Anyway, I think you guys have all heard my opinion, so I'm looking forward to seeing what you think. Get in the comments. Let me know. And until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these. For now, ciao, ciao.